Hey everyone, this is David from GarbageTown, and I just want to apologize for the silence in podcasts the last couple months. We've been looking to rebrand and sort of refocus the podcast in a way we felt was lacking before. And what we've come up with is Castalgia, the GarbageTown Nostalgia Podcast. And the idea is every week, one of us GarbageTown boys, or maybe a special guest, will bring something that they were nostalgic about over, like from their childhood, or, just really anything at all that they have strong feelings for in that regard, and bring it to the table and see what everyone thinks about it. Some people might bring a little bit more critical eye because they're less, romantic and maybe a little bit more realistic about the piece of content, whether it be, a game, a movie, an album, or, whatever it is. And then we'll just have a discussion about it and see, what our final thoughts are based on all of our differing perspectives. So what you're about to hear is our discussion on Weezer's Pinkerton. This was actually never meant to be a part of Castalgia. This was actually, back in November and December when we were talking about doing monthly reviews for different pieces of content. This was something we recorded for that. But the scheduling with those was it was too sporadic and it never was really working out. So we're rebranding, but we did get this, against all odds of our horrible planning, we did manage to record this podcast and feel good about it. And Pinkerton was going to be an album that someone was going to bring to the table eventually. And because we've already had a discussion about it, we decided to rebrand this discussion as the first episode of Castalgia. So without any further ado, I hope you enjoy what you hear, and thanks for listening. Hopefully we'll be back week after week and be a little bit more consistent with you guys. All right, thanks.
All right, hey everybody. This is Garbage Talk about the album Pinkerton. Pinkerton 2014, a review.
Topical.
People are still talking about it, and we are deciding to talk about it one more time. I'm here with my friends Sebastian.
Hey.
And David.
Hello.
I have a well-documented history of being a Weezer fan. I would say at times exaggerated, or at times exaggerated by me at times. Also true at times. But anyways.
Josh did an article, had an interview with Seattle Weekly about his favorite Weezer songs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm the Northwest's, I don't even remember what I said.
He's the Weezer Northwest ambassador.
Scholar was part of it. Northwest's foremost Northwest music Weezer scholar.
And if Josh is the Weezer scholar, I am the mere Weezer apprentice at this table. I've only been listening to the album over the last month.
As a fun little experiment.
Yeah. It's just like, it's one of my fun classes. It's one of my electives.
It's one of the classes I'm teaching David since he's lived in the house with us.
Yeah.
I'm teaching David a lot of things.
I'm kind of in between Josh and Dave. Closer to Josh, I'd say. Weezer was definitely an important band for me, like learning guitar and stuff. Pinkerton was the first record I really got into. I mean, I listened to their singles and stuff before, but I think maybe for like my 12th birthday, my dad got me Pinkerton.
That's cool. I didn't know that. Your dad got you a lot of good records.
Yeah, I mean, he knew I liked Weezer, and then he's got me Pinkerton.
Yeah. So your dad liked specifically the album Pinkerton?
I don't think he liked it. He probably went on Amazon and saw the Amazon reviews. And that one has good reviews.
Just a little plug for Amazon in case anybody...
So it's a company based out of Seattle. No, I mean,
We gotta really help out that local business.
Yeah. Yeah, but I got it for my birthday, and then I just, stopped listening to it. Yeah.
So, I love it.
Yeah. How are we gonna do this? Good track by track?
Yeah, that makes sense, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested to hear general feelings about it, but if you want to go track by track first, I think David should probably start it regardless.
If we want to do an overview, just real quick, of how I feel generally.
Should we wait for that, though?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, talk about tired
Then
of
we'll
sex.
do it at the end.
Stick around for Dave's overview of Pinkerton.
We'll go track by track, starting with the opening track, Tired of Sex. Provocative title. You know, a good title for an opening track, you know, really grabs your attention.
I'm pretty sure when I was like 12 or 13, whenever I got that record, I was really excited to have a song called that.
It's like,
I mean, when you were 13, you were already so tired of sex.
Yeah, I was pretty oversexed preteen.
This song has a very strange opening. Can we say that?
Opening?
It's like feedback, then the
and a kazoo or something.
Are you just saying about the
what is
it's
that?
just a synth and a guitar doubled together.
Okay.
And I mean that line.
I thought it was a kazoo.
I get that. I mean, it's like an analog synth sound,
kind of
which can
crunchy
kind of
synth.
sound like a kazoo.
Yeah.
I don't think it sounds like crunchy. It just sounds like.
I mean, but it has that like.
it sounds pretty whimsical.
I mean, not crunchy, but like saturated to the point where it's like any sort of texture it has is purely it's like fake. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, I get that.
I really like that line. It's also rhythmically pretty weird.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like that obvious.
The
part
part
of a melody.
The parts come in
It's
a way.
sort of a cold open. It's like you don't really know what's going on for a while.
Yeah, and even when the bass line doesn't come in, like that's not the bass line I'm expecting. It doesn't come in the way you would think.
Well, it's not just like chords; it's a riff.
Yeah.
So it still doesn't like orient you for a second.
Yeah, I mean, but I like that thing is a pretty standard thing to do, where it's like, okay, well, first we're gonna have drums, and then but like usually.
But there's a
it's
melody
like
without
and
chords, and that's what's really disorienting.
Yeah, and it's actually like it's polyphonic, like it sounds pretty. It's pretty cool sounding.
Well, because also, I mean, I think one thing I really like in most music is when something's played without context, and then
Totally.
like so you have melody played without anything under it, and then especially for a melody like that, which I think on its own, the first few times I heard it, I was like, "This is even really that melodic." Like I don't really get it because the rhythm is a little bit weird, or not the rhythm, the phrasing of it is weird. And then once I heard the bass line. Once I heard the bass line come in, I was like, "Oh, I get it now."
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah, you can't even necessarily tell that much whether it's like major or minor or anything because I think there's a lot of maybe perfect intervals in it. I don't know.
This song also has my favorite vocal performance.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
When he goes, sorry.
I'm sorry. I was not setting up that joke, but just. Like, I like when he sort of, like, screams.
Yeah.
Just tonally. Like, my favorite lyrical performances later. But, lyrical performance, I'm sorry. But, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But his vocals sound really good. And, like, also the, what do you call that, call and response?
Which part?
Or, like.
Oh, like where he's at the end of the verse and he's like, I know I'm a sinner, but I can't say no. And then they're like, say no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually really hate that stuff, but
It's cool.
they're so tonally different that I like it.
This is a good time for me to point out a couple things about the record, which is number one, you may already know these or you may not. The instruments were all tracked live. And I mean, I'm sure there's some overdubs, but it's basic tracks are all done live. And vocals are actually all done live together as well. The three guys.
That's cool.
Like separately from the instruments, but it's like the lead singer and the two background singers like did them together at the same time. And that's one of the cool things, especially about old Weezer, is that all the background vocals are the actual members of the band singing them, where a lot of the time bands will have the lead singer just sing all of the harmonies because it can blend really nicely and just be more pop. But like on all Weezer records, it's actually all the guys singing.
And they have like Rivers has a really good, I would say, standard rock voice.
Yeah.
He's emotive. It's really nice. Brian is a little bit subdued sounding. He's a pretty. I think he's the plainest voice of all of them, which I like though. For like, I mean, you said like the contrast is really nice, and I hear his purely melodically in a way because it's like there's not a whole ton else.
Yeah,
and it sounds pretty gentle.
Yeah, and the song is pretty like energetic, even though like lyrically it's a sad song, or like it's. I don't know. But, and I feel like what you get with, like, the energy coming from the vocals, but then immediately, like, the really gentle, like, other vocals, is you get, like, just a tinge of that sadness.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I mean, I think Brian sounds like, if he was a lead singer in a band, it would be, like, quieter, sadder, subdued man. I mean, it wouldn't be that.
Yeah,
I know
you haven't listened to Brian's other bands. It's not actually that.
Okay. I think like the way I hear his voice on this record in particular, he just
right.
sounds like the sad guitar, like the kind of quieter guy. And then there's Matt Sharp, who like has, I would say, in a way, honestly, like the way Weezer does their vocals seems pretty similar to like the it's a way like almost a rapper like tracks vocals, where there's like the first, I guess there's like the double though, which is in here, but there's like usually the main one, the one that I would say is like it just emphasizes certain parts, which I think Matt does quite a bit.
He just like most of the time Matt Sharp's harmonies are actually just an octave up falsetto, and specifically on "Tired of Sex" it's actually not the case, but almost all the time. And
I feel like a lot of times it's like, I'm sure an average listener maybe doesn't even really hear. But something's there.
When you hear someone like play that song and somebody sings the higher octave, you're like, oh, that is what makes it special. Like that line.
I don't know. It's just like, it's really cool how they all work together there to support Rivers' performance, which is like a really, as you said, like a good performance on this song.
Yeah.
Like,
so feeling good about the song. All around, I feel like. Okay. We should,
really quickly though about Tired of Sex. I feel like when I first was listening to this record, I just like thought the kind of fake ending and the coming back in slower was like
just the coolest.
That was a big thing I really liked. Because it's another thing about, I don't know, presenting something in a different context.
Because that riff is like a cool riff, but when they're doing it fast the whole time, it's like
it loses
just a little bit slower and groovier when they play it at the end. It's like so
and it's just like
cool.
And also this song is introduction to the sounds of the record in a lot of ways. Yeah. Specifically the drums, starting with that ride.
The drums and bass.
The ride being really like, it's a really saturated.
Yeah.
You hear the ride hit and then the room swell.
Yeah.
And then like the fills on this song also are some of my favorite fills on the record. Pat is a pretty reserved drummer. But here, like, the couple drum fills he does, like, benefit so much from the tone of the drums.
Yeah.
Where, like, it's overblown and, like, they're kind of sloppy fills, but, like, they just sound, like, intense.
Yeah.
Like, huge. Yeah.
Cool. Second song, Getchoo. Good title follow-up to Tired of Sex. So I didn't like the song the first time I listened to it because I just thought the chorus was a little bit obnoxious. Like, especially when it goes like, I'm like, I don't like that.
This song was the song that I consistently skipped.
Yeah, I would say that this song ages worst possibly out of the whole album. And not even necessarily ages worst, because, I mean, it's a good song, and I'm sure that on other records it could be a better song out of the record, but I mean, like this record, it's not.
And it's weird because I can't even think of why. I think, honestly, for me, it was something about the opening is so loud and harsh that I'm like, I don't want to hear this right now. I'm just like, no, I can't listen to Getchoo right now.
The thing is, it's funny that you guys say this because where I was gonna go is I didn't like it at first, but over time, I came to really like this song. And I think it's because it has, especially like after I listened to the whole album and then hearing that song again, it definitely has an aggression that like a lot of the other songs don't have.
I mean, it's one of a very small minority of Weezer songs that are in a minor key.
I think that's also a reason I maybe don't like the song as much.
That's definitely
is for
why I don't
the
like
verse.
it as much.
The verse in this song is a little bit darker, too, like a little dark sounding for me. Also, just not necessarily in a register or not a register, but like not in an area of the scale that I kind of or the key that I really like.
So yeah, and I think that's the reason why I do like this song, because I think one of my main criticisms of the album on the whole is like just tonally the album is pretty samey for me for a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Well, and especially the fact that literally the sounds of the record are very cohesive and like they don't change guitar or drum or bass sounds very much at all.
Yeah. What I'm not saying is like inherently bad, but like I just appreciated the variety that this song gave later.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I remember a couple of years ago someone being like, "Hey, you ever really listen to Getchoo?"
And I've definitely gone through phases of
and I went back
that
and I was
song
like,
a lot.
"This song is pretty cool."
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe partially like my like of this song right now is just like when you're listening to an album and then like you have your favorites at first and then like as time goes on, like I don't know, just that thing happens where like
You're like, oh, that one I always skipped is pretty good, and then you
Yeah.
feel like, wow, this
yeah,
record
and then you're
worth
like, wait,
long.
this one's actually the best, and then it's not really, but like
Yeah.
just when you listen
that
to it
happens
so
to me
much.
so often. Yeah, that's still like the progression of this.
Also,
record for me.
Getchoo solo is probably my least favorite because it's like not clear.
I'm not sure if I can even think.
Yeah,
of
I
it.
can't
It's
even
like-
think of it.
It starts off and it's just like and then it's just like but like you can't even make out the notes in between. And when I saw that Weezer cover band My Name is Jonas Brothers cover that song, I was like, what is he going to do for the solo? Because even when they would play this song back in the day, Rivers just did something else. Most of the songs he plays his solos pretty true to what they are on the record, but he just did like a weird arpeggiated quick solo thing. But he actually played the record, and I bet that was hard to figure out what he was playing because it's not clear.
Yeah. So yeah, going to the next song. The third song, No Other One. I'm just gonna start out by saying, great song. I really like this song. Specifically, the verse is the best part of this song.
It's really good.
Like, the verse is way more, or like, is the catchiest part of the song for me for some reason. It's the part I remember the most.
The verse is definitely like the most interesting, really great, beautiful melody, and the
Wait,
chorus
that's the
is
verse
just,
go right now.
it's just my girl's a liar.
Oh, right.
And then the chorus is sort of just
the
like
melody is so, the vocal melody in the song is really good.
the chorus is just sort of a release. It's just like no, there is no other one, and it's just really repetitive and the same thing over.
I think
and over
this
again.
song is. I think once you reach the song on the record, you've heard. I feel this is the beginning of like some of the more emotional songs, or the more emotional side of the record.
especially more like personal, or maybe just like the stuff that I identify with more.
Yeah, well, I mean, like Tired of Sex has some of that, but it's like I don't identify with that. And also like the song tone, like just like the tone of the song is like pretty rock still.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one definitely like that opening riff is really good too.
The second verse,
Yeah.
where like everything's stripped down and Brian plays that little melodic guitar part under the vocals, where Rivers is singing like all of the drugs she does, and he just I don't know,
Right.
the guitar part under it is really cool.
Yeah.
Also, I believe that the bridge of this song is the first one of the record where they start doing a bunch of key changes in the bridge, which is like what a lot of the bridges on this record are. And
And
really
a lot of
cool.
what I remember from this record.
Yeah.
What's the man? I can't remember how badly I remember this song. What's the bridge like?
Oh.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much, that one's the most simple of the key changes. It's just literally a key change and they play like a 1-4 and it's just like a nice little.
Yeah, but when it hits, it sounds like really triumphant.
Yeah.
Especially in a song that I think is one of the more downer songs.
Yeah.
But I like the way that the verse is pretty delicate, and then the chorus is aggressive, but the tone stays consistent. It just sounds like someone going through, like the motions of like responding emotionally to something.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good song.
Yeah, really like that song.
Also, the opening has that nice little whimsical bit, which is also, I think, a cool element of this record that, like, it's the most deadly serious of their records and, like, very personal and very dark. But somehow Rivers allows mostly Matt Sharp to just do a bunch of weird screaming and funny little vocal improvs, which just adds so much character to the record. Like, fans, I'm sure, are still yelling those stupid things when they play the songs now.
Yeah, I mean, when I was first listening to this, that was something that sort of bothered me upon first listen, just because, like, the tone, or, like, lyrically and musically, this album does not match up a lot. Like, the songs are usually pretty major and, like, energetic and happy sounding.
Yeah.
But the lyrics, like, are not. And, like, coming to grips with that was, like... I mean, I just generally like moodier music, I feel like. Mm-hmm. But over, like...
And something like that can take you out of it.
Yeah. But I feel like I had to listen to the whole thing, contextualize it, and then, like, listen to it again. And then, like... the little things like that ended up being, like, something I appreciated more over time.
It just, like, there's a million records with, like, a really consistent tone. Mm-hmm. And, like, doing a couple things to just shake it out of it and make it personal and maybe put humor in it. Or,
I mean, like, the opening riff in this song, I think, is pretty special. I mean, it's pretty similar, actually, to the tone of the lead in the beginning of Getchoo.
Yeah.
And I mean, in the way it's played, I feel like a lot of Weezer's guitar lines or solos are, like, pretty traditional. Like, they don't really, they're played well and they're, like, kind of shreddy. These are, like, sliding around the neck, going a little bit further than it should, going, like, you know, overshooting a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's also, like, the way I think in this song, the beginning kind of sways because this guitar line is going.
Yeah, and it's a slide.
Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It was really cool. It's like, and I feel like that's something that Weezer hasn't really done on their records since. I mean, there's a lot of things they haven't really done. But I mean, like, I don't think they really did it on the Blue album either, though. Mm-hmm. I like that a lot.
That song also showed me the other way that you play drums in 3/4 to a rock song. Because there's obviously the way where you just go like 6/8, like dun 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 chin dun dun dun. Mm-hmm. Oh, but this one goes dun 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 chin dun 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 chin dun 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 chin dun 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 chin, which is cool.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, very good song. Moving on to the next one. Probably the first controversial song, or like
for you,
or
for the world.
Yeah, for the world. Why bother? I like this song.
This song.
I'm just saying the lyrics of this one are a little bit. I don't know what the right word is, because maybe controversial is not like the right word, but like
it's one of the ones where people are gonna, if they want to, start calling it misogynist.
I'm not even sure.
I feel like Why Bother isn't as much as, like, maybe some stuff on the Blue album.
You just made no one else. Yeah. Which is a joke. Somewhat.
I don't even think that song, I'm not going to get into that, but I also don't think it is that. I mean, I'll get into it later. I'm not talking about it.
Just the, like, I feel just like there's just one line where it was like, oh, that's edgy or something.
The whacking
line?
Or it's like...
I mean, I have to say that line, like, I mean, I listened to this record when I was, like, pretty young, and I thought that was, like, oh. shit.
I didn't even notice that that's what he said for quite a long time.
Me too. Seriously, today is the first time I heard it.
I remember like hearing that, and then I was like, "Whoa, this song!" And I would listen to the song, and I think part of me was like, it was a little bit like a bit of a shock thing because I was like 12.
Yeah.
But also, I was like, I think now it's like that is a surprisingly vulnerable line for Weezer. Yeah. They wouldn't. They would never do that now.
And that's the thing. It's like because I didn't know that was the line for a long time. It's like there's a lot of stuff on this record that is very, very personal, and there's some embarrassing stories about Rivers. But it's like some of the time, like Rivers will talk about this record, or at least he did before people started loving it again, and he's just like he described it as getting drunk at a party and like spilling all of your most embarrassing secrets out to all of your friends, and then them thinking you're stupid because the world initially responded horribly to the record, and then you just like having to deal with like being so embarrassed because of what you told everyone. And like that line obviously is one of those lines.
Yeah, and I mean, like aside from the context of what he's saying, like jerking off is like a fucking shame thing, you know, like so to address it in a song is like
that upbeat.
I know. That's that upbeat and contextualized in this way, and like, man, it's like he did that, like that is, I mean, that's something, you know. I'm not sure exactly how I feel about it, but it's something.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, again, like, I don't know. There were periods in like high school from here I was like relating to this song. And this song is definitely like, I think a lot of guys who aren't super lucky in love relate to this record. And
we are now, luckily.
Yeah,
we all are.
You know.
Yeah.
But like,
so we're looking at this in the past.
But like part of like, I remember thinking the idea of like, you know, just like, I don't know, like, fuck it. Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, why bother? Like, I remember being like, yeah, that's how I should be thinking. Like, I don't need to make this make me sad. I can just not realize I don't need it at all right now. I'm 13. I can't do anything yet. It's just like, I don't know.
The second half of the chorus when it gets to, this happened to me twice before. Like, I could never tell what the harmony was under it, but it's, like, so important to the hook. You can, like, hear the interval, and it, like, very much contributes to the hook, but I couldn't figure out what the lower harmony was because it's mixed just quiet enough that you can't tell specifically what he's singing, but it's very important to the sound of it. And that was a funny thing I always...
That part sounds weird, and I'm not sure I like that part of the song because for me it sounds like a musical or like a Christmas song or something where like I imagine like them being on like their tiptoes like dancing this part with like this happened.
I mean, there's a funny thing, like a lot of Weezer melodies, I would say from the Pinkerton era and in general, sound like Christmas melodies.
Yeah.
There's something about it, like I think when I heard you say this like a couple weeks ago, I was like, it was like a big realization.
We were talking about it because of the new song, The British Are Coming, which the hook is, the British are coming, the British, which is a completely Christmas melody.
Yeah.
And like that's one that like I've always liked about, like Weezer to me sounded like indie alternative rock with Christmas music and some Queen or something.
Yeah.
Like
I get that.
I actually think I kind of like I was really into Queen when I was younger, and I think maybe around a similar time, I just thought Queen had the best lead guitar lines. I thought that was like tonally also.
Well, and yeah, I mean, I can see, especially I guess even on the guitar side, you comparing it to that.
And like there's some stuff. I mean, this record has really cool solos. They're just like the best solos for like. I don't think some of them are. I don't like Why Bother, for example. I don't think has the most original solo at all. But it's played like it's played so well with the tone of the song, the musical tone of the song, just like the like it's a stutter thing and like.
I mean, I think that in general, one of the main things that separates Weezer consistently, like throughout most of the records from other pop rock bands is the guitar solos.
Yeah.
Because
definitely.
Rivers is from the metal world, and he was like very into 80s metal. He was in a lot of hair metal bands when he was coming up. One of his very favorite bands is Kiss. And like, so the guitar solos are just like a really important part of the music, which nobody else does.
Were you like, did you know about that going into this record? About like
I did not
Rivers'
know.
his music taste? Because that was a big thing.
I mean, yeah, I know nothing about Weezer, period.
Because that was a thing, like knowing how much, obviously, like on the he talks about Kiss and like, just in interviews, him very sincerely, it seems, saying that Kiss is his favorite band and stuff.
Yeah.
Made me like really like the guitar solos more. So
Yeah.
like, I was like, he's going for it. He's just going for it.
They're real solos.
There's
not like
parts that are like.
There's a lot of indie rock solos where it's just a cop out or it's a joke or it's anything. Like
here, it's like I'm just imagining him tracking it, and he's like, oh. his palms are kind of sweaty. He's like rubbing on his like he's like getting ready for the solo, and he needs to shred like.
Yeah.
And also like Weezer's solos are consistently like perfectly in the balance between melodic and technically cool.
Yeah.
Like or like melodic and then like lick-y.
Yeah.
And
last thing I want to say about Why Bother. This is an example of a song that people would not have liked near as much if it would have come out on Ratitude and it was produced the way that Ratitude was produced. Which is a statement about...
Is that a Weezer album?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Which is a statement about the mistake Weezer has made with their production, first of all. Because the new Weezer albums are so overproduced that you cannot hear the songs in the way that you could hear them on Pinkerton and love them. They're just so huge and ridiculous that you just can't attach yourself to them emotionally, even though there's some hooks on them that are probably just as good as those records. But it's also a statement about Weezer fans not being willing to listen through that and hear that there are some songs that are just as much there. Because seriously, Why Bother's chorus is like dan 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 dan, dumbest chord progression in the world.
Yeah. Okay, next song, Across the Sea. So okay, this is interesting because story-wise, it's one of the most clear songs. Mm-hmm. And I like how it's. The story is so clear, but it's still so, like, in a pop structure. And, like, Rivers doesn't do anything crazy to, like, really make it a story. It's nothing like, I don't know, like Me Without You or something where, or, you know, it's not just, like, spoken word or anything. It's, like, I feel like sometimes conveying a whole story in the in the constraints of...
A melodic pop song.
Yeah. And trying to keep your vocal melody and rhythm, like, make sense in that context still is, like, pretty hard.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. That said, like, and I like the story aspect of this song. I'm just not sure how much I like the song.
Okay.
Like, just musically.
Yeah.
This song, my favorite on the record. One of my favorite songs, period. Then again, I don't necessarily know why. I think it was just like when I heard it at that time, so much of the band's performance was like unbelievable to me. I just thought like mainly the part where it's like I remember just hearing a band. Song was really important for me when I was learning like the ways a band can interact with each other when it comes to building up. Mm-hmm. Setting a tone. I think everything from the bridge to the end of the song, I was like, just thought was amazing.
I really do like the bridge in this song.
And it drops out.
Yeah, I think that's very cool.
And the part where it's like, what's it? It's like words and dreams.
Which part?
Like,
I'm a good little boy.
yeah. Then it's like, and then how does it go back
It's
in?
all your fault, Mama. It's all your fault.
Yeah.
It's all your fault.
Also, yeah. And then I also like the part after that when it's like before it goes back to the chorus.
And I mean, like the way that Rivers and Brian's like background vocals are going back and forth. He goes like, So you sent me your love from all around the world, all around, and lots of dreams and a million screams.
That part there is my favorite.
I need a hand
Yeah,
that part is good.
The way the snare like kind of gets off.
Yeah.
But it sets them up for the tempo of the next section.
Yeah, and it kicks in, and it's like a little change.
Yeah, and it's just like, God.
And then they do that call, or like the echo. Why are you?
I mean, a lot of this song to me was, I think I got into, probably not the first song I really liked off this record.
Not?
Probably not.
Yeah, me too. It took me a while.
Actually, no. Actually, maybe it was. I think Pink Triangle and this were the two first songs I heard from this record. That was before I had the record. I was like on YouTube or something. Or
YouTube
whatever.
Existed when you discovered this record?
Maybe not YouTube. Whatever.
Oh, man, I'm really aging myself here.
But I feel like this song... I mean, I got into Built to Spill a little bit later than Weezer. Maybe like a year or something after. But...
Were you born in the 80s?
I was born in 90.
Okay. You just made the cut.
Just barely.
But I think this song was like... how much I liked this song back then was pretty representative of my taste now for, I would say, like, kind of epic-ish. I don't hate these being more epic, but like really big guitar songs that are, like, not epic necessarily in tone, but in structure.
It has, like, a real arc to it.
Yeah.
As opposed to, it's a pop song, but it has, like, a complete dynamic
I just always like
arc.
songs that I feel like... I mean, I don't necessarily like songs I don't repeat. I like when songs repeat, but I also like... when a song goes through, like, it feels a little bit like it. To me, melodic, like, musically, this song feels like a story.
Man, if you kept on that track, you could have been loving the post-rock and black metal scene. But
I like this stuff. I mean, I like when bands have those elements. I mean, I think, like, Built to Spill, like, doesn't even have that much singing in a lot of their songs. It's just, like, guitars on guitars.
Yeah.
Evolving, and this song evolves. I think that's the main thing. Was this song showed me how like a song can change completely and go back to where it started, but still end up in a different place. And like also that bridge, I think blew my mind when it came to just the key changes in it.
Yeah,
and I think that's something that Weezer didn't play around a whole ton with. They would put like in later records or the Blue Album like. They have like slightly unconventional chord progressions, but I think there's nothing quite as outside as like the bridge in this song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
This song just felt really sincere to me. I think that's definitely the main thing.
The story is just like definitely one of the most embarrassing on the records, but it's just like so relatable.
Yeah, I also like bonded like with my sister over this song, like because she really loved this song, and I feel like she would just play it nonstop.
Yeah, all of us have gotten a letter from a Japanese girl.
Yeah, I just really relate to this. I don't know.
But for some reason, even though it's a really specific story, there's a lot of like feelings in it that are very relatable.
Yeah.
Just the like romantic hope in just a completely like unbelievable, unrealistic situation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and this song I think has talking about controversy. Like this song.
How do you like the opening Bad English? You are 18-year-old girl who live in small city of Japan.
Oh wow, is that what he's doing there?
Yeah.
I mean, I assume he is quoting the letter.
Yeah, but he's just making sense of the song.
I think he credits her as partial writing credit on the song.
That's pretty interesting. That's just something I didn't pick up on.
Yeah, because it sounds melodic.
Yeah, because like it's just in a song, and I was like, yeah, he's just doing that because it's his song.
Yeah, and then I mean, there's some weird lyrics. So the part where he talks about like stationary, or like they don't have stationary like this, where I'm from, so fragile, so defined,
so refined.
And then there's a part where he talks about her touching herself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty.
He also talks
weird.
about licking and sniffing the envelope.
Yeah.
I mean, this song is crazy how vulnerable it is.
I mean, yeah, that sounded very like literary in a way where I was like, I could read that and like,
yeah,
but it's like,
but that's the thing about songs is that you can say things that Like if you read them as poems, it would just be like, oh, this is teenager crap. Like what is this? But if you put it with the right melody, then it actually communicates the feeling clearly enough that it doesn't sound stupid.
Yeah, and I think like to me this is the song of this record.
It's definitely one of my favorites.
And I don't mean so much like how I like, but I think thematically this is the most important song. I mean, even like look at the cover of this record. It's obviously Japanese themed, and then Pinkerton is based the character from what is it?
Madame Butterfly.
Yeah, he's like white, right? He's a white guy falling in love with.
I don't remember.
Falling in love with like an Asian woman. I think, I don't know. This record this song just felt like it's about halfway through the record.
Yeah.
And it just seems like, oh, okay, this is the
record is almost completely in chronological order of the way he wrote it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but because for me, we'll get to it, but thematically, the song that I think is the most like thematic statement or whatever on the whole thing, and I feel like the whole album builds to it is the last song, but we'll get to it. Little spoiler. But
is El Scorcho next?
No, The Good Life.
Okay.
And
I knew it was a single.
So I didn't know what the singles were on this album, but
But you felt them when you got to them.
I didn't think no.
Let's wait.
But The Good Life was probably the first song that I think I liked on the album when I was first listening to it. Now going back, I think the first 3 tracks are definitely like more. But I still like this song. Oh, I meant to ask this earlier because I feel like a reason why I liked this song was because of a particular line, but now I listen to it again, I'm wondering if I'm mishearing it. Does he say something like... sorry, I have to put the song back in my head. Does he say, like, he doesn't want to be an old man anymore?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I like that line.
Yeah. Do you want to hear a little about the origin of the song?
Yeah.
So, this record, I think 4 of the songs were written post-Blue Album, but before even, like, it was, like, right after Blue Album was, like, recorded, but before it was even, they were touring and everything.
Before they got big.
Yeah, so then they toured for a long time. After that, Rivers he quit the band for a little while, or like hiatus, and he went to college for
right.
a year or 2. Also, at the same time, he got surgery on his leg because one of his legs was shorter than the other. And he had to do this horrible, horrible, painful surgery where like every few days he had to like literally, there's like this thing in his leg that he had to turn this knob and it was breaking his leg over and over again and pulling it apart so that it would grow and extend to the right length. And that's like the way that this surgery works. So anyways, like this was a very long process. I think it was 6 months or a year. That's a lot of like what the diaries are about, or like how horrible this time was for him. And that's why he's talking about, I don't want to be an old man anymore, is because he's like literally was sick and he was like
an old man
in pain. He walked around college in a cane.
Yeah. So it's more about, it's more than mentality. It's like literally,
he was like debilitated.
What is
and
he
wanted to live. He like wanted to go out and be a normal person again.
What do you say? He's like, without an old man cane, I fall into the ground.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow, I did not know that.
I think this song also like
I didn't know it was that literal.
Yeah,
this song also is just like funny. It's one of the funnier songs on the record. And I think like it's also just the chorus makes me imagine like I picture like a kind of like a bar with a bunch of old people in it, just like kind of like Tim and Eric-y vibe. People dancing. I mean,
it sounds a little sarcastic too.
Yeah, and well, I guess it's like it's a little bit like
he says shaking booty.
Shaking booty, like that part of. It's just and it kind of sways in a way that like fits the. Like, it is almost like cheesy in the way, or not cheesy, but it's kind of old timey in the way he keeps describing he doesn't want to be. Mm-hmm. Which I don't know. I just think overall the music and the words in this song fit. It's also just like a catchy song.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like the bridge section of this one's pretty good. The slide.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's also just one of the repeated textures of the album that keeps showing up as slide guitar, and it's just like really cool.
Yeah.
And then the way he sings the bridge or the chorus again after that, he's like, I want to go back. Really quietly. It's really cool.
Oh,
yeah, and then the bass goes. Boom, boom, ding, ding, ding. I don't know every single note of the record or anything.
So much of this record also is when they do those build-ups, they, like a lot of bands, I think about build-ups a lot. Build-ups are my favorite things.
Yeah.
And least favorite things in music.
Okay. I was going to be like, man, post-rock is the thing for you to say.
There are some, but what I like about Weezer is I feel like the way they build up is they go 75% and then do like a weird jump at the end where they just they kind of jump, they get too excited almost, and the drums speed up too much or slow down and get heavier, and then when the chorus or whatever after the build up comes in, it just sounds really different, and it's like, and I think from a production standpoint it works great.
Also, for this record. I think specifically that song and several songs in the record, they're definitely not tracked to a click, and so I think the last chorus is a little faster, especially as it gets further into it, and it's just really high energy.
Cool song.
Cool. Now we get to definitely my least favorite song on the record. I just so far I've liked every song, at least to an extent. I do not like El Scorcho. I think this song.
I wonder if it's something that you just missed, the age for.
Probably,
I
but
think that's what it is.
Aside from just lyrically, musically, this song I do not like. This is the only song I looked at the timestamp while I was listening to it, and I was like, oh man, we still got a minute of this.
To me, it's obviously a really simple song. It's a single, but it's also got some of the funniest lyrics.
It does. That's a big reason I like it.
He talks about wrestling, watching grunge leg drop New Jack through a press table.
Green Day.
Talks about Green Day.
Yeah.
Which also, when I got into this, the fact that Green Day was referenced, I was so excited because I loved Green Day.
Yeah, I get that. I guess I get that during a time that would definitely be like oh my goodness. But
and then there's also that line's funny because it's like you say you never heard of them. How cool is that? So I went to your room and read your diary, which is this is what he says, right?
Yeah,
that's just such a weird line to have after. It's just
yeah. I also recently found out because Rivers did an AMA that he didn't write the line watching grunge leg drop New Jack through a press table. He just took that from somebody else's. Somebody wrote it.
Yeah, what is it?
They did. Watching grunge, which was Johnny Grunge. Leg dropped New Jack through a press table.
That's such a cool.
I know.
I mean, it sounds
it's just
good.
A cool rhythmic line.
This dude.
Half Japanese girls, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he drops that at the beginning, and then he also says, "What's
the redheads do shred the cello?"
Yeah. And I was just like,
And then there's that rapping part. Where it's
right before the choruses, the chords drop out, and it's just drums and singing.
Gosh, this song is obnoxious to me. There's so many.
Okay, let me explain.
I
this used to be, I think, my least favorite song on the record. My sister loved it. She would play it all the time. And then I went, this is years later, I was 15 or 16 at this point, and I was at Folk Life, I think. It's in the Seattle Center, a huge crowd.
And you saw a half Japanese girl.
Yeah, and I saw some redheads shredding the cello. No. And I was just with Special Explosion. It was when I first joined, so I was 16, and we were hanging out with Bandmaster Mayhem, now Whelp. And Nathan, or Reed from the band started singing the guitar part. And then Nathan started singing the song, and he got like 200, 300 people in this field to all sing El Scorcho together.
That's amazing.
And it was just such a cool, like everyone knew every word, and everyone was singing along, and then like, the guys with guitars came in. Because folk life is a bunch of people smoking weed.
Wait, people started playing it on stage?
No, no, like it was a bunch of people sitting and like having a connection with each other, and everyone just was like singing along to El Scorcho, and I was like, man.
Well, and you said the wedding you played.
Yeah, I played a wedding for like these 20-somethings who are our friends who were really into Weezer, and they asked Mike and me to play El Scorcho with them, and it was sort of like the kind of thing, because El Scorcho is the single and it's just the obvious song. It's like not the song I would ever choose to cover. It's just like, okay, yeah, we'll do it. It's your wedding. But like seriously, when we played it, it was one of my favorite musical memories ever. That song, while it is like over the top and very direct, it is an anthem for a certain type of like teenager and the way that they felt, and like everybody loved that so much. Everyone was singing along. It was like this great communal moment.
And the best part about this folk life experience, I wish I filmed it or something. It was just all these people sing this, and this song, the lyrics, the verse, the singing, the verse, is pretty fractured. It's not. Yeah. It doesn't say the same. So the fact that everyone knew it, was like everyone knows this song. Yeah. And then everyone was getting excited to yell, like, how cool is that? Also, and then like all these parts that people were just like really excited to sing. Also, I think the song has the one important line for the record. Wait, is this song where he says like, "How stupid is it? Can't talk about it. Got to sing about it. Make a record about it.
Got to make a record of my heart."
Is that what he says?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then
why does he say "of my heart"? I can't understand.
It's really hard to hear, but that's what it is. Then Brian responds, which also, as a young musician, just loving Weezer so much, I just loved that Brian sings lead on a line when he says the response, which is like, how stupid is it? I don't remember. What is the response?
How stupid is it?
Can't sing about it. Gotta talk about it.
Gotta sing about it.
Correct. How stupid is it? Just give me a minute and come up to me and say hello to my heart. Anyways, let's move on.
Yeah.
I mean, this song is just like,
it's good.
Good times.
It's good times, dude.
And maybe that's why I just don't like it. Yeah.
But the chorus lyrics, like, I'm a lot like you, so please, hello, I'm here, I'm waiting.
That is the other thing I don't like about this song, is the way he says hello. Oh man,
I'm into that. I'm into that kind of lyrics.
Yeah,
it's just like he's literally like saying like what he's feeling. And I also like, that's a feeling that you have felt, and that's a feeling that we all have felt. And I know, because of the kind of house we're in and the things that we've talked about, that that's what we want to happen. We see these girls that we can see that we could relate to them, and just
and this is a good transition to the next song, Pink Triangle. I'm not sure if this is messed up, but like, I very much relate to this song.
I mean, I relate to it too. I've specifically related to it with girls, and it doesn't matter that they were not lesbians, because that's not the point.
I feel like that happens a lot to me.
I mean,
that does.
I remember being. I feel like I mean, it does. I know it hasn't. Oh, like one person. But like, I remember this song, I think, being the first one that I really heard from this record. Because I just was like, I was on some forum or something, and someone was like, "That's the best Weezer song," and I was like, "It must be the best Weezer song."
I like that's the voice you gave that guy.
And then I remember listening to it, and like, it's definitely not the most accessible, like melodically accessible song. Mm-hmm. It's not the most melodic song. I think the verse in the beginning. It's funny as I'm saying this, like, I can't, like, I'm not in my head remembering what the song sounds like. I'm just remembering what I thought of the song.
Start to look around for
love. But I did like. I mean, the chorus is funny because how blunt it is.
Yeah.
But also, I think like, we were good as married my mind, but married my mind's no good. It's just a very elegant line.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, it's a song about thinking someone was attracted to you.
Yeah.
And maybe that's an important part of it, but also just a song about like fantasizing and like building up a relationship in your head.
Yeah.
Before it ever happens, just on a completely one-sided crush and like the way that crushes work. And sometimes you get lucky and they go both ways, but then sometimes they don't.
Yeah,
and
but then sometimes you're us.
I mean, that line, when I first heard it, it was one of those times I'm like, I wish I wrote that. Yeah. I was like, it's so simple, and it's just like, but it's just like, I don't know, it works, and the fact that it's so simple, and it's also a nice wordplay.
Mm-hmm. How do you like everybody's a little queer? Can't she be a little straight?
That's definitely another controversial line in that. But it's funny.
Yeah.
Like, can't she be a little straight? And I think the song might have one of my, it's a really weird vocal performance by Brian, but it might be one of my favorites. It's really monotone.
Mm-hmm.
When it's like,
we were good as married in my mind, but married in my mind is no good.
I really like the way that sounds.
Yeah,
Is
totally.
he double tracked on there?
Maybe.
I feel like there's something about
this song might have some of the only double tracks on the record.
I feel like something about that, his vocal there just sounds really smooth and nice, and it's not that melodic because it's really not.
Yeah.
But it's something, I don't know, I really liked it. To me, it was like what Brian brings to the songs.
The guitar solo is amazing.
Go wait.
It is
so amazing. Can you sing the beginning of it?
It's the call and response guitar solo. It's like harmonized and in and out, and it's like.
Oh my god, it's such a good solo.
Yeah.
And then, like, because it's two guitars, the chords drop out, but Matt Sharp is playing like arpeggiated chords on the bass, so you still have the whole chord. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. That guitar.
That guitar solo also. What's the time? What's the time signature of that part?
It goes to halftime. It's like.
Some of the guitars make. I hear it in like a waltz timing, even though I guess it's not. Part of that also just sounds kind of almost classical.
Yeah. Well, he keeps doing those chromatic lines, and yeah.
It sounds like, I don't know.
The solo is definitely one of the highlights of the record and of Weezer's entire discography.
Pink Triangle is a good song.
When the My Name is Jonas Brothers played that, they played the solo well. That was good.
All right.
Falling for You?
Yep. Almost getting done with this. Falling for You. The chorus is weird.
Key change in the chorus. Very noticeable key change.
Yes.
Very strange. Very disorienting for a while. Yeah. But also...
Especially because it seems to get aggressive for a second. Yeah. It's like... When he says falling for you, it's like... aggressive for a second.
Baby, I believe I'm falling for you.
Yeah.
I'll do about anything.
Yeah. It's weird.
I think the chorus and that key change in the chorus is maybe the one thing I think about the most often when I think of Pinkerton.
When I think I need to do it. I need to just figure out exactly what happens there. I want to just figure out how it would sound if they hadn't done that. If they just like played chords in the key.
Oh yeah.
I need to just do it, but I haven't ever bothered to sit down and figure it out.
God, that part's so weird.
I think it's a key change. It's at least it's just chords. I'm pretty sure they're not.
They're definitely not in the key, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think about that a lot because I remember I think a lot of this record is also I got really into it. My sister didn't like it. She got more into it than I was originally. She started talking about it, and then I got more into it. It was like, because so much of like a lot of records for me, especially records that are pretty important, like this one, I experienced with someone else. Where usually what happens for me,
and there is that nice like back and forth that can happen when you're doing that with someone.
What always happens to me, what recently happened to me with Andy a lot is, I tell him this record's amazing when honestly I've only heard 2 songs and I've just read a review that says it's really good. I'm like, you need to listen to this. And then Andy actually goes and listens to the whole thing and then tells me about it.
Oh my God, do you know that one song?
And then I'm like, I need to go listen to it now. And then I do. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And that kind of happened for some songs on this record with my sister, where especially with this song, she was like, "What's up? What's that chorus sounds crazy? Like, what's the guitars doing here?" And because she doesn't play music or anything, but she could tell. She was like, "Those guitars sound wrong." And I remember like going back and thinking it sounded really cool.
Such weird, like he just uses really funny slang throughout this record.
This is
Holy cow, I think I've got one here. Now just what am I supposed to do? Gotta know.
Yeah, the song is weird.
Weird song. Bridge also has a lot of key changes and weird stuff, I believe. I don't remember it off the top of my head.
Me neither. I can't remember a lot of the song.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. All right. Who cares? Next song.
All right. So last song on the record. Possibly my favorite song. Definitely my favorite song listening to it the first time. And I still really like it. Butterfly.
I think I was too young for this song when I first heard it. Didn't care about it. I was like, this is acoustic, boring. I just didn't care about, like, I mean, there's a long period. I mean, I liked the song. I was catchy, but...
Yeah, the melody's good.
But now the melody, to me, I'm like, oh my God, that's so good.
Yeah.
Also, weird way I started listening to this record was... so I got the CD, put it on my iPod, and then I got a drum set around that time. And what I would do is just listen to this record every time I played drums. And I'd play drums through this record.
Yeah.
And I would play drums along to Butterfly. So I remember I would be excited. I'd be like, I get to write the drum part here. And like, it would totally ruin the song. And I feel like, I don't know.
The little percussion that is in the song, the little taps that happen in the background, that's Carl, which is like the sort of unofficial fifth member of Weezer, who has always ran their website and sort of interacted with the fans and taken video and just been the documentarian. He plays the little drum part on it. Mm-hmm. Isn't that cool?
Yeah. Yeah, I just think...
And when they played the song on the Memories tour, he would come out every night and just hit the tom, which is cool.
That's great, yeah.
And then also, like, the turnaround... The really quick turnaround in the song, where it's like, you know what I'm thinking about? Like, it goes right back into, it's like the one
like
weird
after
rhythm
the
part.
chorus into the second verse, you mean?
No, let me think about it. You guys talk. Yeah, that
Just thematically. I think this this song really ties together the album well. And, like, it also is the song that, like, contextualizes everything and, like, in its musical mood, it, like, makes everything make sense.
And like, sorry.
I really like it. It has to be the last song of the album.
Yeah.
Like, it just makes so much sense.
I think that maybe that's the one song that isn't in order. I think that maybe they put that one last. Mm-hmm. He also, nobody had heard that song. He didn't show anybody the song. He was just always like, oh, and there's going to be an acoustic song. But he just, like, they never did anything. And then, like, at the end, I think, like, on the last day or two, like, they just, like, threw it on.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
If you listen to the Pinkerton Deluxe album, there's like another take, which is pretty cool too.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
slightly different because it is so new that he like sings it a little different because you can tell he's like not done it very many times.
Yeah.
It's a really pretty song.
It is.
I feel like I almost want to like listen to it more now because I feel like that actually might be the song I would appreciate the most on the record now because I listened lately. I've also just been in a place of appreciating kind of quieter songs. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, I like this record. I like all the loud stuff, but this song is just like really pure.
Yeah, and I was like, I get a little bit fatigued towards the end of this album, and then this album this song. Gosh, I keep on saying that. This song, like. I don't know. I don't want to say it redeems it because it's not like, I don't know. But once I hit El Scorcho, I'm like, come on, let's get to Butterfly here.
They played an electric version of it on the Maladrite tour.
Of Butterfly?
Is it cool?
Yeah. It's not bad.
Is it like when people play the Star Spangled Banner? And it's like...
It's just like... boom.
You play the Star Spangled Banner and you go... Bam, 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 bam,
How did that go? Did you do
Good.
it? Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
I forgot I was going to talk about it on the music cast. Yeah, we did that like the whole time. I would go,
That's so awesome.
hey, everybody, here comes the Winter National Anthem.
So awesome.
Really quickly, what do you think of the production of this record?
Okay, so
You can't say anything bad.
It's the best sounding record ever.
I specifically think it sounds like this era of like 2007 music that was being made at Ground Zero.
I mean...
Where it sounds very like... Because there's the lo-fi that's like cassette lo-fi that's
Like,
just like...
Some things are impossible to hear.
Yeah.
Lo-fi.
And then there's hi-fi, and then there's this like sort of lo-fi that's like... You can tell it's like... It's when like someone really starts to actually get into recording, but like they still don't have a studio or something.
Yeah.
And like it's that specific sound, and like that's a sound I like.
This record was recorded in a nice studio and did cost money.
Which is interesting because it sounds authentic.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching a video, like there's a really short video on YouTube of like Pat kind of getting drum sounds, and you realize it's the room. Like, you are hearing the room on this record. It sounds so cool. And his drums sounded that aggressive, like there.
Yeah. You can hear it immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, also this coming after the Blue album is insane.
It's an important part of the context, definitely.
Yeah.
There's on the Pinkerton Deluxe, there's an interview where it's actually on 107.7 the end for some reason, but they have a caller that calls in, and it's during Pinkerton times.
Oh, I saw that.
He calls in and he goes like, "How come your guys' first album was like sucked, but it sounded good, and this one like is good, but it sucks." That's the way it sounds. And like, I mean, the first record is just so polished, and they like tried to be perfect, and they responded to that. Like, if you hear them talking about it, they wanted to make a record that sounded like them all playing together, and and everyone ever since has followed that progression. Like, I know that when Mike and I like have done stuff, it's like, oh, we want to do stuff that we can. You just go back and forth between that. Like,
I mean, when we did that 7-inch, we were like, oh, this is fun, and then we're like, oh my god, we just need to go into a studio and play live
and play.
And that was like, oh, that was really fun. I mean, like, the production was a big reason I thought this record was cool when I first heard it. The drums. I was just like so into the drums and the intensity of it.
I just can't think of that many records that are live tracked that like communicate through a record like that much feeling. Because so much of the time a live record, I just kind of wish that it was spiced up a little more for the sake of the record, because a live record often just sounds too thin on a record. You just need to double track some stuff to give you the same feeling you get live. But like Pinkerton, they successfully did it. Like, it doesn't leave anything to be desired, in my opinion.
Also, just like Matt Sharp's contributions to this record are the bass playing on this record is so important.
I was gonna say, when you were talking about the drum thing, I used to just play all the way through Pinkerton on bass.
So much about this, the bass playing is like the guitars can just stop playing the chords.
Yeah.
And be totally supported by his bass playing, which I don't know, and he just sounds good. And he has like an aggression to his playing that's like so.
It's a little bit fuzzy, and
I feel like I can hear that he's picking too hard, and the string is kind of like going places that shouldn't really be going, flopping, and like I don't know. This record is. I feel like this record was also like. I think a lot of people credit the beginning of like the mainstream. The beginning of mainstream emo to this record, and I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, I used to not think so, but
I mean, the
certain
guitar
parts of it
stylings are pretty different.
Yeah, and I think the melodic styling even is also.
True.
I think the tone and the
and the lyrics,
kind of aggression, and the lyrics, yeah. And also, this is a record more than any other where people I know from completely different. Like, people who can play completely different music all were like, Pinkerton was an important record for me. Like, talking to, like, Rowdy. Rowdy loves Pinkerton.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. You know? Like, and then, like Ben, I think he had Pinkerton on cassette, and he's all he listened to.
Yeah.
When it came out, this is amazing. And, like, so many people. Because I think you can appreciate it lyrically. Some people don't listen to lyrics. They appreciate the guitar playing. They think it's like shreddy, and then some people just like the aggression of some of the songs. I think it's a pretty aggressive record. Probably the most aggressive record they've done.
Yeah, definitely.
And like, I don't know.
Except for Island in the Sun.
Yeah. Dave was like
actually Hash Pipe.
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
You know that song?
No.
Dave, you got any closing statements?
So my wrap up here for myself is a little bit weird, just because
I thought of another question I have for you.
Okay.
What is it like knowing, because now you've heard a little bit more of what Weezer is and how that relates to Sea Cats.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see, because you heard Sea Cats a lot more first.
Yeah.
Was there anything on it that was like, oh, I see.
So I was talking to Seabass about this a little earlier. Like, I would say on the whole, mostly no, but there's like, but at the beginning of No Other One, like that, and then the way like that goes into the verse, like, was the only time in the record where I really thought like that sounds like I'm not sure if it sounds like your most recent tape.
Yeah.
But it reminded me of like maybe a little bit more metal music than even like your self-titled. But like,
I mean, I've almost written No Other One about 5 times. I've literally like done that like one. What is below 4?
Well, I also
3. There's no 3.
I also feel like
3, 4.
3 being the minor,
just like yeah.
Well, I also feel like
progression so many times.
He sort of sounds like Mike in the verse, too. And like
Mike's the real culprit. I think that when people say that my stuff sounds like Weezer, they're more talking about Blue Album Weezer.
I think let's see that. This record was really important.
I like you guys more though.
This record was really important.
Heard it here first. Better than Weezer.
Yeah, I think so. I do. I'm not gonna fuck. Sorry, I'm not gonna lie.
Sorry, you can have an actual closing statement now.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
I just asked you a question about me. Can you talk about me a little more first, though?
So I'm pretty positive on the album. But I sort of found myself forcing myself to go back to it, like, which is obviously a sign of not being like completely in love with it. But like when I listen to it, on the whole, I like it. I think I, missed the boat a little bit on this one.
Yeah, probably.
2014. But at the same time, like, I'm not sure if I've made this clear in the past or on a podcast in the past, but like my musical taste is usually I'll try and listen to everything, but like the things that I really gravitate towards too just naturally are like things that are extremely like either slow or quiet, or things that like are the opposite of that, like extremely harsh and chaotic. And like Weezer is so in the middle that like
Definitely.
I don't gravitate it to as naturally, but like I'm glad I took the time to listen to it.
There was a part in that My Name is Jonas Brothers set where they were like, "You guys want to hear some more mid-tempo rock?"
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Dude, mid-tempo rock's my favorite.
It's probably my favorite too. So
I feel like Explosion Explosion is the most mid-tempo rock band.
See, a good illustration of this is like when I first started listening to Fugazi, I went chronologically, and I was like listening to the first few albums. I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure I like this. But as soon as like I got to like Red Medicine and stuff, where they start getting like so much more
interesting.
Yeah, like both. Some songs are way more quiet and like experimental, and some songs are just like so much louder and so much more noisy than anything they did in the past.
yeah,
That like that's when I really loved Fugazi. It was like starting then to the end of their discography. But then like retroactively I appreciated the other albums like way more. But sometimes I listen to Island in the Sun or Pork and Beans, and I don't get that same sensation.
I was going to say, all you need to do is listen to Ratitude and work your way backwards, and I think it's going to be really good. It'll be just like Fugazi. They get pretty weird on Ratitude too.
So we mentioned Island in the Sun.
Yeah.
Like a couple of weeks ago, someone mentioned it.
Yeah.
And someone mentioned it being a Weezer song, and I didn't know that was a Weezer song.
I mean, that totally makes sense. That's the exact kind of song that.
The one song that I did not know was a Weezer song, and I'm surprised that I'm like wondering if it was it. I'm not even sure if it was a single. Was Burn Jam a single?
No.
Like I had heard that song.
Yeah, I mean it's a very
and I was
riff.
So shocked.
We should probably save this discussion for after. We should probably just wrap this up. So,
okay.
Final thoughts.
It's the big one. It's my big one.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest ones.
One of my.
I'll never be able to do it. It's what I'll always be trying to attain. See, I want to attain something. What I want to do is make something that is so personal, but also so well put together and accessible. Because as of thus far, I can really only do one or the other, like really strongly. I haven't been able to create songs that I feel like are very poppy, like catchy songs, but with musical depth, but then also have like just extremely personal lyrics. And I'm always going to be working towards Pinkerton.
This is the record that got me into American indie alternative rock, probably. Before this, I listened to just like weird British bands with no emotion. Just like weird guys.
I think that you'd look good on the dance floor.
And then I heard this, and I was just like, oh man. Like, I don't know, it's just like this. Definitely probably my top 10 records ever. And just
I would never make a list like that, but yeah. If I had to.
I would never make that list. I'd probably have 30 things in my top 10. Yeah.
I get the sentiment, but the wording of that was funny. So yeah. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next month with
review
with a different review.
Creedence Clearwater's Greatest Hits.
Nope.
Who's choosing this time?
I'm picking. So I know what I know. I'm gonna put it at the beginning, so you'll hear it. But yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye. Wait, no, not next week. Next month.
That was fun talking about my favorite album. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.